Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8. Appreciate you joining in. As I always say, continue to share, continue to subscribe. Drop your comments below. Anything that you have or any tips that you want, continue to drop your comments below, and I'll try to get to it in the future episodes. As I always say, I'm not a financial advisor or a financial expert, professional, anything like that. Just a regular stock person sharing my ideas and my stocks tips that I've been successful with along the way. This past week has been a wild week. I know the past 2 weeks actually has been crazy, just due to the market being down, the Nasdaq being down. I know everybody has been panic mode, looking like, hey, why is the market dropping? I always tell people to definitely, double down if you're down, try to average down or anything like that, because the market always, it's a roller coaster, right? So you're gonna have your ups and you're gonna have your downs. But when you're down, you definitely want to continue to buy more. Like Warren Buffett always says, or one of the things he said before, that I took note into is when people are fearful, that's where you want to buy. So that's what I like to do. I like to buy when the market is down. That's when I spend a lot of good money in there because I always see it jump up, in a week or two or a month later. So a lot of stocks were discounted over these past 2 weeks, I feel. So it was a good time to buy some of those stocks, or like I said, average down. If some of the stocks that you're in has went down, go ahead and average down if you can. Or if not, like I would tell people, pull some money out. I know over this past weekend, me personally, I took some profits out. I liquidated my account at least 20, 25%, or even 30%. I'll go as high as that, just to make sure, if anything does happen, it's coming up week, I can be prepared. But at the same time, I still got my foot in the door. My foot's still in certain stocks. I still got a good amount of shares. That way, if it does rise, hey, I'm going up and it's positive. But that's one of the things I try to tell people to do. Don't keep any money in there that you're not comfortable with losing. If you made profits in the past, week or 2 weeks or anything, or you see your stocks dropping, you don't see it going up, then go ahead and take some of those profits out. Of course, as I tell people, always reinvest some of it, but then take some out for yourself. That way, you're at least bringing some money home, or some of the money that you actually invested, you at least get that back. So that's what I always tell people to do, and I hope some of you all did that over this past 2 weeks. I feel this week, it might be this, another slugfest like we had the past 2 weeks, but I feel, it should definitely rise, especially with the stimulus coming out. People talking about stimulus getting approved. It just got approved in the House. So now it's moving on to the Senate, which is the next step, which I think that's going to at least take another week or two for that to, be digested there and then eventually get approved and, checks and things being distributed out. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to in the coming weeks, is seeing how that rolls and how that plays an effect on the market. I feel, if it definitely passes through the Senate and gets approved, then it's just going to, help the market go up. Just over this past weekend, like I said, it got approved in the House. So I feel next week we might see certain stocks starting to rise just due to that anticipation to that. And then that's when you start seeing some of your stocks going from red to green. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. I know you all as well is looking forward to that, because nobody likes losing money or having to average down. But like I said, when you do get in that position, it's best just to take some of your profits out or average down. That way you're not in too deep. And like I said, if the stock goes up, you can at least make some money while the stock goes up. This week, like all the other weeks, I had a little trend going on. A lot of people were telling they like that I mentioned 3 stocks just to look out for in the coming weeks, or the coming months. Just for a disclaimer, like I want to tell everybody, any stocks that I talk about on here, I look in a whole list like a year, right? So I'm thinking a year from now, this stock is going to be good, or by the end of this year. So that's months down the road. It's not more like a turnaround next week type of deal. Now I do, say, hey, some stocks are going to jump next week. I feel they're going to jump. That's because I've done research and I know, they're going to have presentations or some things or offerings or things like that. But other than that, I'm looking at the stock as a whole. Even those stocks that I do mention that might jump over a presentation, I still look at it as a whole, as at the end of the year or a year from now, whether this stock is going to do. So never, get discouraged when you see your stocks go down. It's part of the game. You're going to see yourself lose money. I would say don't get in the stock market if you can't, handle seeing yourself lose money, because it's going to happen. The patient man always wins. So I would say be patient. Either, like I said, double down, average down, or take some of those profits out, or take the amount of money that you put in. That way you're only playing with your profits. So this week I wanted to focus on, like I said, 3 stocks. These 3 stocks I'm very, very excited about. One of them I got into like 2-3 months ago, just because it was like, wow, I heard a lot of people talking about it. And it's very familiar. For me, it's very similar to Roku or Netflix. And that stock is Fubo TV. And that's Fubo TV. That stock right there, I think is going to boom in the next year or two, just because everything is moving to streaming, right? A lot of people are doing away with regular cable. They no longer want to, deal with regular cable service. So now they're moving to streaming, they're moving to Netflix, Roku, things of that nature. And this company right here fits in the same field as Roku and Netflix, right? They offer the same thing, 4K streaming, things like that. And they're very low price right now. So when you look at like a Roku or Netflix, they're in the hundreds, right? $200, $300, $400 per share. Fubo TV is actually $35 per share right now, right? Around 35, 36 range. I think the highest it got is around $50, $52, or like $60, one or the other. But right now it's around the $30 range. The lowest it's ever been, I think it was around like $8 or $9, around that range. That's the lowest it's ever been before. It is a newer stock. I believe the stock came out, what was it, last year or this year? It came out last year around October, November area. So it is a new stock, new to the market. But I would say that's when you want to hop on those type of stocks. Right now, a lot of people don't know too much about it. I'm pretty sure, some of you already heard about this stock. But this stock right here is not really that widely known as far as Roku and Netflix. And one of the cool things that I've been hearing about this stock, which, like I said, I don't know whether it's true or not, but it's very intriguing to think about it. That they offer, they're sitting around, they have sports that they offer there, but they're starting to look into offering sports betting through their app. And that's major. I think that's a big game changer when you think about that. When you think of the sports betting world right now, it's definitely booming. All states, you see a lot of states are starting to, approve sports betting in their state. And I think that's one of the things that will make a stock like this jump, just because it's already booming and it's already, in the field that can, potentially be a blockbuster type of deal. When you think about it, all in one app, you can watch your sports and you can bet all in one app. I think that's major. When you compare that to like a Roku or Netflix, they don't really have that type of streaming offer. So that I say that will separate that company from those companies, which, they can very well easily offer or do the same thing. But like I'm saying, right now, that company is already on the march for doing that. And I think that's going to be big if they actually do that. So that's one of the things to look out for. I think Fubo TV is a great stock. Go ahead, you all go do your research on it, like I always say before you dive into it. But that stock alone, I got back into it, like I said, 3 months ago, I got into it. But that's one of the stocks that is just, I think, can easily double or triple its value. Just basically, you look at that, $35 value stock, and they offer the same thing that other stocks such as Roku and Netflix offer, and those stocks are worth $300-$400 per share. I feel that stock eventually has to catch up, even if it gets half of their value. That's still a positive. It's from 35 to 200. So that's something that I want people to check out. It's a great stock. Like I said, it's called Fubo TV. The stock, I believe, is FUBO. You don't have to add the TV to the end of the part, but that's a stock that I want people to check out. Another stock that I want you all to consider checking out, doing your research on, that I've personally invested in, that I love, is CLOV. And that is a health insurance company. They are amazing. When you look at them, scrolling through their about now, it's pretty much, it says, Clover Health Investments provides healthcare insurance services, which is big. I think right now with the virus out and people, using their health insurance, and you look at the insurance industry as a whole right now, or during this pandemic, they've only went up. They haven't, really lagged like other stocks have during the pandemic. So I think looking at this company and looking at what they offer, I think they have a great upside. So that's one of the reasons why I got into it. Because it's amazing, the stuff that they're doing and the way that the industry that they're in, the way that industry is moving. I feel they're just going to move and ride that horse right along with the rest of the industry. And you look at their value right now, it's only $10 per share, which is pretty low. It's around their 52-week low, which is around $9. Once again, this is another new stock. I believe it came out last year, around June of last year. So they're new to the market. Like I always say, new stocks is a stock that you want to hop onto, especially if it's a good value stock. that's the stock you want to hop onto and dive a whole bunch into, because it definitely has a great upside. And you look at the competitors, or I wouldn't say competitors, but the people that's in the same industry, and you compare their share price to this company's, is not even in comparison. So you would see, okay, that has great upside versus the downside on it, especially when it's around this 52-week low. Around, I believe 52-week low is 9.16, and it's at $10 right now. That's something I would tell people to definitely dive in on. I believe they're releasing their earnings the day after tomorrow, or after tomorrow markets close. So that's another thing to look into. I'm not really big on earnings myself. I don't really focus on the earnings. I focus on what they're talking about and what they're releasing within those earnings. So that's one of the things that I would tell people to focus on, especially if you're trying to play the earnings game. Look into what the company is going to talk about and what they're releasing within those earnings versus, did they make earnings or did they exceed earnings in one way or the other. And the third stock, which I know you all know about, it's a popular stock. But I looked at this stock, I did research on it, and it took me a while to invest into it just because of the price of it. I feel it's $121 right now. So that's a pretty high price, I feel like, for shares. I try to get at least 1,000 shares or more of any stock that I get into. So that means I have to put 100,000 into that type of stock. But like I always tell people, hey, if you can't afford the stocks outright, then look into buying options and things like that, calls, or call contracts on that stock. Just because it's a cheaper way to get that amount of shares that you want, and you still get the same effect. The only difference is, like I always tell people, is your calls or your puts have an expiration date versus buying the stock outright. It doesn't expire. You hold it, whether it goes up or down. So it gives you a little bit more of security. That way, if the stocks drop, you don't have to worry about, okay, next month this stock is going to expire and I can lose everything. But this stock is called Apple. I'm pretty sure you all know about Apple. Apple I think, is a great company. I think this company right now, just looking at it, I think it easily is going to grow, or I wouldn't say double, but just grow as far as I can easily see it putting on $50 to $60 more into that value and being more of a $180 value stock. In the next 2 years, not in the next year, it can happen, but I'm looking more 2 years down the road with this stock. The way things are moving, I think Apple is just going to continue to grow, continue to take over the market and what they're doing and the products that they offer. And then, as you all know, Apple is a household name. You all know about Apple. Everybody knows about Apple. They have a lot of returning customers, but I think it's major when it comes to a company. If they can keep their customers coming back and they continue to add on customers, you have no choice but to grow. So this company, I think, is a great company. Looking at them over the past month, like we said, these past 2 weeks, the market's been down. I think they're down $17, $18 right now for the past month. I think once the market reverses and starts going back up, I think you're going to see this continue to go back up. So this is a great entry point, just because it's down $17. It definitely can drop more. It can drop another $5 or $10. But I think when you look at its downside versus upside, the upside is a lot bigger. So if you want to start a position in a company like this, then I would say now is the perfect time. I really, really, really like Apple. That's why I start buying call shares, and call options on it, and buying shares little over the past, I would say over the past year I got into it, but I got out, and then I got back into it. It was about, I would say, around September of last year. I started buying 100 shares here, 10 shares here, 20 shares here, just build my portfolio up with it, just because I see it. I see this company easily going to $180 mark within the next 2 years. So myself, I like to start an entry point, and if it drops, then I average down, and if it goes up, perfectly fine. I might even average up then, or wait for it to go back down. And with it being down $17 last week, that was something that I bought. And like I said, I bought another 20 or $40 more shares of it, and then I bought a couple more call contracts, because it's down. They're cheap. They're very discounted. I already know the outlook on this company, so that's something that I looked into, and it's like, okay, Apple has no choice but to grow. Apple's a great company. I want you all to go do your research on Apple. I know you all already know about the company and the products that they offer, but actually go do your research on it, see what their future and what products they have coming out, or the potential products that they have coming out. And I would say they're just not a phone company. Of course, they offer, as you all know, computers, things like that. But I'm looking into more of their network. How's their network going to expand? Are they going to go into other things as far as offering bigger and better phones, or bigger and better products, or bigger and better services? So I think in the future, in the next 2 years, they're definitely going to have an upside, and they're going to have a leg up on the competitors. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and get my foot in on Apple. And I think Apple has a potential high upside compared to where they're at now. Like I said, I appreciate you all joining in. I wanted to go in on this episode and just focus on those three stocks, just because I feel it's going to grow. Those stocks are going to grow, especially Fubo TV. Check that stock out. Like I said, when you look at them compared to some of their competitors or some of the people that's in their industry, like Roku or Netflix, they have no choice but to go up. They offer great things, and some of the things that they have in store for the future, I think, is just going to have that stock catapult to the next step. So that's why I think stocks like that are great stocks to look into. Try to get into them early, especially if they're newer stocks. A lot of people are not really into it. The volume's not as really high as other stocks. I would say start looking into those type of stocks. I appreciate you all joining in. Like I said, any questions or any tips that you all have, drop a comment below. I know this past 2 weeks has been crazy. It's been crazy for me as well. But I hope you all ended positive in each week. And I hope this week is a lot better, especially with stimulus coming out, things like that, news surrounding that. I see the market eventually, start taking its way back up to where it was before. I appreciate you joining. You all have a great day. God bless.